I'll write the first part of your story in about 800 words using simple English and third-person style with basic Korean names. Here's part 1. The Frozen Exile. The ship broke apart in the darkness of space. Small pieces scattered across the black sky like tiny stars. Inside the last working part of the ship, Gia pressed buttons quickly, trying to send a message for help. Gia was not human. Her skin looked like clear crystal with blue light inside. She came from a planet far away where everyone looked like walking gems. Her people, the Nari, were proud and old. They had traveled space for thousands of years. Emergency. This is Diplomat. Gia of the Nari High Council. Ship damaged. Systems failing. Crash landing on Moon K4019, she said into the radio. Her voice sounded like small bells. The small part of her ship fell faster toward the white moon below. Ice covered this moon from pole to pole. For humans, it would be very cold. For the Nari, whose bodies needed heat to keep their crystal forms working, it was deadly. Gia knew she might die here. Her people did not like to ask others for help. The Nari thought they were better than other space people, especially the new humans who had only just learned to travel between stars. The ship hit the ice with a crash. Metal broke. Glass shattered. Gia fell from her seat and hit her head. When she woke up, cold air was coming in through cracks in the walls. Temperature falling, said the ship's computer. -80 degrees and dropping. Warning, critical temperature for Nari life form. Gia tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't move right. The cold was already making her crystal body slow down. She pulled herself to the emergency box and took out the small device that would make her message stronger, sending it far into space. Help, she said simply, her pride gone now. Any ships nearby? This is Diplomat Gia. I need rescue. She knew her body would soon start to freeze. Nari bodies turned hard and still when too cold, like glass statues. They could stay like this for weeks before dying, a last chance for rescue. Gia felt the cold moving up from her feet. Her toes were already hard, unable to wiggle. Soon her legs would freeze too. 20,000 miles away, at the human mining station on Moon K421, a young man named Do sat watching screens showing space around the moon. He was bored. Nothing interesting ever happened here. Then a light blinked. A message. Captain Tay. Do called over the radio. We're getting a distress call. It's not human. Captain Tay walked quickly to the control room. He was older, with lines on his face from years of hard work. He had seen many things in space, but never an alien asking for help. Play it, he said. They listened to Gia's message. Tai's face turned serious. A Nari diplomat, this far from their space? He shook his head. They never ask for help. This must be bad. The ship doctor, Hana, spoke up. Captain, Nari are silicon-based life. They can't survive those temperatures. If we don't go now, there won't be anyone to save. The company rules say we shouldn't get involved with alien problems, said Do. We could get in trouble. Captain Tay stood quiet for a moment, then he said, I didn't come to space to let people die, human or not. Get the rescue ship ready. 3 hours later, Tay, Hana, and 2 others walked across the icy moon, wearing special suits to keep out the killing cold. Their lights cut through the darkness, showing pieces of broken ship scattered across the white ground. Life signs? Asked Tai through his suit radio. Hana checked her scanner. Very weak, but something's still alive in there. They found the main part of the ship half buried in ice. The door was stuck. One of the men used a tool to cut it open. Inside, everything was covered with frost. In the middle of the room, they found what looked like a statue made of blue crystal. It was shaped like a woman, frozen in place with one hand reaching out. Is she dead? Asked Dohana, scanned the crystal figure. No. This is how they survive extreme cold. She's in stasis, but her core temperature is still dropping. We don't have much time. Let's get her back to our ship, said Tay. Careful now. If she breaks in this state. They lifted Gia's frozen form gently. Her crystal body reflected their lights in beautiful patterns. As they carried her across the ice to their waiting ship, Tay looked down at her face, perfect and still like a sculpture. "Hold on," he whispered, though he knew she couldn't hear. "We've got you now." None of them knew that this rescue would change everything, not just for them, but for humans and Nari across the galaxy. The ice had brought them together, but it would take human warmth to truly save Gia. The ship landed at the human mining station, its doors opening with a hiss of warm air. Captain Tay led the team carrying Gia's frozen crystal form. Her body glowed faintly blue under the station lights, beautiful but deathly still. "Medical bay now," Tay ordered. The halls of the station were narrow and metal, built for function, not comfort. Workers stopped and stared as they passed. Few had ever seen a Nari in person. In the medical bay, Dr. Hana cleared a table. They placed Gia down carefully, her crystal body making a soft ringing sound against the metal surface. "How do we wake her up?" asked Do, watching from the doorway. Hana frowned at her scanner. "I don't know. Nari biology isn't something we study here. They don't share their medical information with humans." She tried the standard revival procedures used for frozen human patients. She set up heating lamps around Gia's body, slowly raising the temperature. Hours passed. The ice coating Gia's crystal form melted away, but she remained solid and unmoving. "It's not working," said Hana finally. "Her core temperature is rising, but there's no sign of consciousness returning." Tay paced the room. "We need to know more about her species." He called me, the station's information specialist. "Find everything we have on Nari biology. Anything." Me searched through the station's limited library. What she found wasn't much. Nari are silicon-based life forms. Their bodies work using crystal structures that need specific heat patterns to function. They're very private about their biology. Wait. She paused, reading. "There's one interesting thing here. It says Nari never touch each other. It's forbidden in their culture." "Never touch?" asked Tay. "How do they reproduce?" "It says they use special machines to combine genetic material. Physical contact is considered primitive and dangerous." Dr. Hana suddenly looked up from her scanner. "That's it. The heating lamps provide steady heat, but maybe that's not what she needs. Nari evolved on a planet with changing temperatures, day and night cycles, weather patterns. Maybe they need heat that changes, that has a rhythm to it." "Like what?" asked Tay. Hana looked at him directly. "Like body heat. Human body heat naturally pulses with our heartbeat and breathing." There was silence in the room as everyone understood what she was suggesting. "You want us to touch her?" Du sounded shocked. "But you just said it's forbidden in their culture." "We don't have a choice," said Hana. "Her life signs are getting weaker. We need to try something new or we'll lose her." Tay stared at the crystal woman on the table. His people had only met aliens like the Nari a few years ago. The two species kept their distance, trading but never becoming friends. The Nari thought humans were simple, emotional creatures, too young to be taken seriously. "I'll do it," he said finally. "If she gets angry when she wakes up, she can blame me." Hana nodded. "Start with just holding her hand. We'll monitor any changes." Tay removed his outer jacket and rolled up his sleeve. Slowly, he reached out and took Gia's crystal hand in his own. It felt cool and smooth, like polished stone. At first, nothing happened. "Try both hands," suggested Hana. Tay took Gia's hand between both of his, warming it from two sides. After a few minutes, a tiny change began. Where his skin touched hers, the blue light inside her crystal body glowed slightly brighter. "It's working," Hana said, watching her scanner. "The energy patterns in that area are becoming more active, but the change was too small, too slow. After half an hour, only Gia's hand showed any improvement." "This isn't enough," Hana said. "Her core systems need to restart or she'll never fully revive." Tay made a decision. "Help me lift her." Together, they raised Gia's stiff form. Tay sat on the medical bed and they positioned Gia so he could hold her against his chest, her head resting near his heart. He wrapped his arms around her crystal body. "I feel like I'm hugging an ice statue," he said, trying to make a joke despite the seriousness of the moment. For a long time, nothing seemed to change. Tay sat still, holding the alien woman, feeling the strange, smooth texture of her crystal skin against his arms. The others watched nervously. Then, after nearly an hour, a deep blue glow began to spread from where his chest touched her back. It moved slowly through her body like water flowing through clear pipes. Her crystal form began to soften, becoming more flexible. Suddenly, Gia gasped. Her eyes opened, solid purple with no pupils, and she looked around in confusion. When she realized a human was holding her, she made a sound like breaking glass and tried to pull away. "Release me! How dare you touch me!" But she was still weak, her movements uncoordinated. Tay didn't let go. "You were dying," he said simply. "This was the only way to save you." Gia stopped struggling, but her crystal face showed horror and disgust. "You've contaminated me with your heat, your touch." Her voice shook. "Why didn't you just let me die?" Gia sat alone in the small room the humans had given her. 2 days had passed since her rescue and revival. Her crystal body had fully returned to its normal state, flexible, warm, and glowing with inner light. But her mind was in turmoil. She touched her own hand, the same hand Captain Tay had held. It felt different somehow, tainted by human touch. Among her people, the Nari, physical contact was considered primitive and dangerous. Only machines, controlled and sterile, were allowed to touch a Nari body. The ancient texts said touching could spread disease and corrupt the pure crystal nature of their forms, but Gia couldn't deny one simple fact. The human's touch had saved her life. A soft knock sounded at her door. "May I come in?" It was Dr. Hana. "Yes," Gia answered, her voice like small bells. Hana entered with a tray of food. Unlike humans with their messy eating habits, Nari absorbed nutrients through special pads on their palms. Hana had figured this out and prepared the right kind of liquid nutrients. "How are you feeling today?" Hana asked, setting down the tray. "My body functions normally," Gia replied stiffly. "When will a Nari ship arrive to collect me?" "We sent your message to Nari Space," Hana said. "They responded this morning. A ship is coming." She paused. "They seem angry." Gia's inner light flickered with emotion. "Of course they are angry. I have been touched by an alien species. My body is no longer pure." Hana sat in a chair across from Gia. "Is that really so terrible? Touch is natural for most species." "Not for us," Gia said. "Our bodies are sacred vessels. The ancient texts say—" A loud voice from the hallway interrupted her. Captain Tay appeared at the door, arguing with someone on his communication device. "I don't care what they said, she was dying. We did what we had to do." He noticed the 2 women watching him and lowered his voice. "Sorry. The Nari High Council is demanding we prepare for inspection. They're sending a fleet, not just a rescue." "Ship? A fleet?" Gia stood up suddenly. "That is not necessary for one diplomat." "They say we've violated their biological sovereignty laws," Tay explained. "They're talking about shutting down this mining station as punishment." Gia felt a strange, new emotion. Was it guilt? Shame? The humans had saved her, and now her people threatened them. "I will speak to them when they arrive," she said. "This is not right." Later that day, Tay invited Gia to join the station crew for their evening meal. At first, she refused. Nari ate alone, absorbing their nutrients in private. But curiosity won out, and she found herself walking to the station's small dining area. The room was loud with voices and laughter. Humans sat close together at tables, passing food, touching hands as they reached for things. Someone bumped into Gia as she entered, and she flinched away. "Sorry," the young human said with a smile. Not seeming to understand the seriousness of touching a Nari, Tay waved her over to a table. "Gia, come sit with us." She moved carefully through the crowded room and stood by the table, not sitting. "You eat together?" she asked, watching the humans share their meal. "Of course," said Tay. "Food tastes better with friends." friends. The concept seemed strange applied to mealtime. Nari believe eating is private. We do not watch each other consume nutrients. An older woman at the table laughed. Well, that might be more polite than watching Jiho eat. He always makes a mess. Everyone laughed, including the man she'd pointed at. Jia was shocked. Among her people, public embarrassment would be a serious offense, but this man just smiled and threw a small piece of bread at the woman. Sit, Tay said again. You don't have to eat our food. Just be with us. Hesitantly, Jia sat down. All around, her humans talked, laughed, and touched each other constantly. A hand on a shoulder, a playful push, the passing of items from hand to hand. How do you not fear contamination? She asked Tay quietly. All this touching. Tay considered her, questioned seriously. Touch isn't just about bodies, it's about connection. Humans need physical contact to be healthy. Babies can die without it, even with perfect medical care. This was shocking news to Jia. Die from lack of touch? Her people would say the opposite. That too much touch brought death. After dinner, Tay showed Jia the recreation room where humans played games and exercised together. She watched fascinated as they moved their bodies freely, sweating and breathing hard, sometimes falling and helping each other up. Would you like to try? Tay asked, holding out a small ball. Jia almost refused. But something had changed in her. The human warmth that had saved her life seemed to have awakened new questions in her mind. She reached out and took the ball, her crystal fingers brushing against Tay's hand. This time, she didn't pull away in disgust. That night, lying in her room, Jia thought about her people's rules. Had they been wrong all these years? The humans touched constantly and seemed stronger for it, not weaker. Their community felt warm in a way Nari society did not. Her thoughts were interrupted by an alarm. The station's lights turned red. Attention all personnel, came a voice over the speakers. Nari fleet approaching. 5 warships. They are demanding immediate surrender of the station and the return of diplomat Jia. The station shook as the Nari ships docked. 5 large crystal vessels, sharp-edged and beautiful, had surrounded the small human mining station. There was no chance of fighting back. The humans could only wait. Captain Tay stood at the main airlock, Jia beside him. His face was calm, but his hands were tight fists at his sides. The rest of the crew waited behind them, nervous and quiet. Let me speak first, Jia said. Commander Sun will listen to me. Commander Sun? Asked Tay, the fleet commander. He is. Jia's crystal face flickered with blue light, showing emotion. He is to be my life partner. It was arranged many years ago. The airlock hissed open. 5 tall Nari soldiers entered, their crystal bodies harder and sharper than Jia's, with red light flowing inside instead of blue. They wore no clothes but had metal bands around their arms showing their rank. Behind them came Commander Sun. He was taller than the others, his crystal form perfectly shaped and glowing with bright orange light. When he saw Jia, the light in no, his chest pulsed once. Step away from the diplomat, he ordered Tay, his voice deep and ringing like a large bell. Tay didn't move. Welcome to our station. We're glad you've come to... Silence, human, Sun interrupted. You have broken our most sacred laws. You have touched a Nari diplomat with your flesh. This crime cannot be forgiven. They saved my life, Jia said, stepping forward. I would have died on that moon. Sun looked at her, his crystal face showing no expression but the light inside him turning darker. Perhaps that would have been better than this shame. You are contaminated now, Jia. The High Council is deciding what to do with you. What to do with me? Jia's voice rose. I am still a diplomat of the Nari. I demand respect. A diplomat who let aliens put their hands on her body? Sun moved closer, looking down at her. You were to be my partner, but now, how can that be? You have human touch embedded in your crystal matrix. Tay stepped between them. That's enough. Jia is our guest and will be treated with respect while on this station. Sun soldiers moved forward, raising their weapons. crystal rods that could shoot burning light. "Stand down," Sun ordered them, though he kept glaring at Tay. "We will handle this properly. The human station is now under Nari control. All humans will be confined to their quarters while we decide their punishment." "Punishment?" Tay's voice was hard now. "For saving a life?" "For violating our biological sovereignty," Sun corrected. "The penalty could be the destruction of this station and everyone on it." Gia gasped. "That is not our way. We do not kill." "The council will decide," Sun said. Then he turned to his soldiers. "Take the humans to their rooms. Post guards. I will speak with Diplomat Gia alone." The soldiers began moving the humans away. Tay looked back at Gia, worry clear on his face. She gave him a small nod, trying to tell him she would be all right. When they were alone, Sun's hard manner changed. His light softened to a gentler orange. "Gia," he said quietly, "when we heard your ship was lost, I feared the worst." "You came with warships to rescue me?" she asked. "I came to punish those who defiled you," he answered. "But seeing you now, you seem changed. The human touch has affected you somehow." Gia didn't know what to say. She was changed, but not in the way Sun thought. Not contaminated, but awakened to new questions. "The humans did what they thought was right," she said. "They deserve thanks, not punishment." Sun turned away. "You speak like someone who has forgotten our ways. Perhaps the human touch damaged your mind as well as your body." Before Gia could answer, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed through the station. "Commander," a soldier rushed in. "There's a problem with our ships. The docking system on the station has malfunctioned. Our engines are shutting down." Sun's light flared with anger. "The humans have sabotaged us." "No," said the soldier. "The problem is coming from inside our ships. Something in the station's magnetic field has affected our crystal technology. Systems are freezing. Temperature controls are failing." Gia felt sudden fear. She knew what that meant. Without temperature control, the Nari ships would grow cold. And cold meant, "We have to get back to the ships," Sun said urgently. "We must fix this before," but it was too late. On the main screen of the station, they could see inside the largest Nari ship. Nari crew members were already slowing down, their movements becoming stiff as cold spread through the vessel. "They're freezing," Gia whispered. "Just like I was." Sun turned to her, and for the first time she saw fear in his proud face. "What do we do? Our engineers are already affected. No one can fix the systems if they're all in crystal stasis." Gia knew there was only one answer, the same answer that had saved her life. "We need the humans," she said. "We need their warmth." "WY." Alarms blared through the station as Captain Tay ran down the corridor. The guards who had been watching the humans were gone, called back to their ships when the emergency began. Gia was waiting for him at the main control room, her crystal body glowing with worry. "The cold is spreading fast," she said. "Already half the Nari on the ships are in stasis. The others will follow soon." Tay looked at the monitors showing the 5 crystal ships. Inside, Nari crew members stood frozen like statues, their inner light dimming. "What happened?" Tay asked. "Something in your station's magnetic field affected our ship's systems," Gia explained. "Temperature controls failed. For humans it would be uncomfortable. For Nari it is deadly." Commander Sun entered the room. His movements were already slowing, his orange light flickering as the cold began to affect him. "I have ordered all my people to enter stasis mode," he said stiffly. "It will give us time, but without working systems, we will eventually die." Tay's face hardened. "Just like you were planning for us? You came to punish us, maybe kill us all, and now you want our help?" Sun's light dimmed with shame. "Yes, we need your help." Gia stepped between them. "Tay, I know you are angry, but there are 200 Nari on those ships. They don't deserve to die because of Sun's pride or our people's old rules." Tay looked at her, then at his crew who had gathered in the control room. Their faces showed different emotions: anger, fear, confusion. But they waited for his decision. "What's your plan?" he asked Gia. The same thing that saved me, she answered. Human warmth. Soon, 50 humans were moving through the Nari ships, carrying portable heaters. But the machines weren't enough. The crystal technology needed living warmth to restart. We have to touch them, Dr. Hana said, scanning a frozen Nari engineer. Just like with Gia, direct contact is the only way. The humans looked at each other, nervously. They knew how the Nari felt about being touched. They might hate us for it, said Do. They might still punish us after we save them. Tay nodded. That's true, but we can't let them die. He turned to Gia. Will you tell them what we're doing when they wake up? I will do more than that, Gia said, her voice strong and clear. I will show them. She walked to where Sun stood frozen, his proud face now still as stone. Slowly she placed her crystal hands on his face on the first time she had ever touched her intended partner. The humans stared in shock. This was breaking the Nari's deepest taboo. Help me, Gia said simply. That broke the spell. The humans moved forward, each finding a frozen Nari to help. They held crystal hands, touched shoulders. Some even hugged the frozen aliens to share as much warmth as possible. Hours passed. Slowly, the first Nari began to wake. Engineer Jin was the first, his green light flickering back to life as Hana held his hands. He looked around in confusion, then horror as he realized what was happening. This is forbidden. He tried to pull away. This is survival, Hana answered calmly, not letting go. Your ship's systems won't restart without our help. One by one, the Nari awoke. Some reacted with disgust, others with fear or anger. But Gia moved among them, explaining what had happened, how the humans were saving them despite the Nari coming. To punish them. Finally, Sun awoke. His orange light came back strong as Gia held his face between her hands. For a long moment, he stared at her in shock. You're touching me, he whispered. Yes, she said. And I'm still alive. We've been wrong. Sun, touch isn't dangerous, it's life. Sun looked around at the humans helping his crew. Why? Why would they help us after what we planned to do? Because that's what humans do, Gia said. They connect. They help. They touch. Later, when all the Nari were awake and the ship's systems were working again, Sun called everyone together in the station's main hall. Nari and humans stood side by side, still awkward but no longer enemies. I have contacted the High Council, Sun announced. I have told them what happened here, how the humans saved us despite our threats. He paused, looking at Gia. I also told them something else. Something Gia discovered in the station's old records. The ancient Nari text about touch was mistranslated thousands of years ago. It never said physical contact was forbidden. It said we must never treat others with coldness. A murmur ran through the crowd, Nari lights flickering with surprise. For too long we have been cold to other species, Sun continued. We thought we were protecting our purity, but we were only isolating ourselves, making ourselves weaker. He turned to Tay. The Council has agreed to a new treaty with humans, one based on warmth, not coldness. Tay smiled. We would like that. In the days that followed, humans taught Nari about handshakes, high fives, and hugs. Nari taught humans about their crystal technology and star maps. The two species began to learn from each other. As the Nari ships prepared to leave, Gia stood with Tay at the airlock. Will you come back? He asked. Yes, Gia said. The Council has named me the new ambassador to humans. I will return soon. She smiled, her crystal face glowing bright blue. After all, I understand human warmth better than any Nari. Slowly, carefully, she extended her hand. Tay took it, and they shook, the simple human gesture now a symbol of something much bigger than either of them.